Heyo, what's up guys? I thought I'd do a little bit of a mix rundown for a song called Follow Me that I made with my wife. That's actually featured in a video game called Tori Saturn that came out beginning of the month. It's on the last level of the game. The level's called Inside the Flagship, I believe. Yeah, it's a fun game. Fun little platformer game. You should check it out if you like platforming games with a retro PS1 vibe. Looking back on this mix, there's quite a bit of stuff that I find questionable now because I started making this song about a year ago. I think a little more than a year, actually definitely a little more than a year ago. I started working on it after not making very much music for quite a long time. I took some very questionable avenues in the mixing department, but it's all part of it. It turned out the way it did because I did that, so I'll just go through what I did, essentially. I reviewed my lanes a bit beforehand, but if I stumble a little bit, it's just because I am awful at organizing things, and I am also forgetful. I'll start with the kick drum, and it's just a Vengeance sample. Just a very 4-to-the-floor beat. This was the first thing I laid down for the song just because I knew I wanted it to be kind of a techno vibe. On here I have a high pass filter cutting at about 65 hertz, which is a bit high for a kick drum. I think I was just trying to get more of the punch out of it rather than the subbiness of it. I feel like it could have definitely benefited from a bit more low end. I have a compressor on here, dipping it, not even a dB. Fast attack, fast release. I have a sine filter, which is interesting because it really isn't doing much of anything. This is with it off. This is with it on. It's not doing anything. I put the sine filter on a few of the instruments in this song just to give it more of like a video gamey type vibe. You'll hear it when I pull up other tracks, but the kick isn't a good example. Here's a bit of mid bass. When I'm picking serum presets, I kind of just go for whatever I feel like would work best. It's a lot of guessing, honestly. For the settings on this one, I believe all I did was turn this oscillator B off because it just sounds really weird with it on. It just adds a weird buzziness to the sound with that on, so I just turned it off. It's very bouncy. I'll show you what's on this mid bass. I have a high pass filter, again, going pretty high with actually a boost. I believe this is around 200. Whoops, moved that. About 200 hertz boost, which is, I don't know. Don't really know why I picked that, just kind of guessed. We have a peak compressor, squashing it about 5 dB. The secret is a 2.57 to 1 ratio. I have a decapitator. Adding quite a bit of grit, I have the punish on and the drive up to past 6. Here's it without the decapitator. A lot darker. In the mix, it's honestly a little hard to even hear the difference. I think I just put it in to make it pop out a little more. Here's a sidechain compressor. Just classic to the kick, ducking out when the kick hits. I have an exciter on it, boosting the highs quite a bit. Just making it more present. All right, let's check out this Omnisphere lane. A cool lead, so that was fun to make. I actually thought of that lead while I was at work, and I had to force myself to remember it so I could make it when I got home. And I believe it was at the beginning of the day that I thought of it, which is even better. I used Omnisphere for this lead, and I just picked this thing called Crying Whammy Guitarette Lead. I found this was interesting. I have this flutter thing on the lead. When I turn it off, just makes it sound a little more annoying. Just softening that a bit. Here's another sine filter. Just adding a little something. We have some reverb. Just pushing that back a bit. Sidechain again with the kick. I actually have it sidechained with the vocals too, just to have the vocals sit on top of the song a little better, because that's such a scratchy lead. Here we have more Serum stuff. I think this might be the sub bass. More of a drone bass. I love this 003 AT satellite bass a lot. I put it in like everything I make, but it just sounds so good. I love it. It's so big and airy and just sounds sick. This one I actually have high passed at around 49, so that's pretty normal. Definitely relied on this for a lot of the sub in the song. I actually have an auto filter on it too. So that's pushing that back quite a bit, making it a little more lo-fi. Is that the word? This I found interesting because this is another sidechain compressor. It's to the kick, and it's actually not ducking it very much at all. Just about 2 dB. You can barely notice it ducking anything when the kick hits. And yeah, that's about it for that drone bass. We have a lot of stuff to go through. What is this? Another Serum synth. We have a high pass around 100 hertz. We got a dip around 3K for whatever reason. Compressor. Peak compressor. I like to use the auto filter a lot. I know I could just use a low pass filter, but for whatever reason, I just am really used to reaching for the auto filter in situations where I'm taming a synth, because when you turn this off, it sounds pretty abrasive. It sounds like a rattlesnake. And then you turn it on. Just pushes it back quite a bit. So that's a little trick I do when I find a synth that I like the overall sound of the synth, but it might be just doing a little too much in the high end. All right, we got another sidechain, boring. This chopper thing is actually something my wife found. She was laying down vocals for this song, and I had never used this thing in my life on anything, and I didn't even know it was a thing, but it just essentially, it stutters your track, and it just makes it sound cool. I have it pretty light on here. It just makes it sound kind of broken, which I thought was cool for this song. Here's another Serum lane. Creepy echo thing. We got a high pass there. I'm dipping a lot of the higher mid stuff at 4K. Another auto filter. It almost just like fills out the sound a little more when I'm pushing back the highs. This one's cool. It's actually a Serum preset called Anxiety Loop. It just works with the drums in a cool way where whenever the snare hits, it just kind of like sucks into the snare, so you're getting more of that like whoosh. This almost works like how you would use a reverse snare in a song where it kind of like sucks into a snare hit. I'll solo it with the drums so you can hear. Just cool thing. Adds. What's this Serum thing? Just like an arpeggio. It was necessary. I used an exciter on a few synths in this song just to kind of push the high end, but I would sometimes cut the high end on the front end and then boost it again later just to kind of add a little more presence. We got a shaker thing with absolutely all the lows and mids cut, sidechain compressor with actually the kick and the snare. Uplifters and impacts, which are actually pretty quiet in the mix. All right, what is this? Oh, this is the coolest thing ever. It's a little snare thing I made out of a breakbeat from the Amen fill, or the Amen break. I made an extra lane just to show you the original loop. And it's actually stretched quite a bit if I turn the warp off. It's pretty quick. I'll go through some of the stuff I added to that. I used this JST clip. I'm clipping it quite a bit. 100% mix. It's clipped, and then I have a compressor. Just ducking it a little bit. It took me quite a while to get the reverb sounding the way I wanted it to. The snare is very fragrant, one would say, so I felt when I was adding reverb to it, it was just kind of like adding this weird flavor to the song that would just fight every other instrument. Fine-tuning the reverb to get it to work with the song was a bit tricky. I actually have a high pass, like a lot of sub going on in there. I wanted the snare to really stand out, so I didn't want to cut very much from it. I have the snare side-chained with the kick just because there's so many little ghost note type things. Alright, vocals. Vocals are a lot. I have a lot of stuff going on with the vocals. I have a distressor doing what it does. I have a de-esser doing what it does. I have this plugin called Smooth Operator, which is essentially, I believe it's a dynamic EQ. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't use it very often, but I felt it was necessary for this apparently. And then I have one of the presets that Ableton has in their EQ folder, a decapitator. Decapitator isn't doing too much. Very, very dry in the mix. And then an exciter at the end. That's my vocal bus. And then I have a lot going on in the individual vocal tracks. I'll start with this one. Look into my eyes. I believe I did that just by changing the pitch on the actual audio. Look into my eyes. And then goes back to normal. Back up. It sounds really weird in solo, but it just sounds fine in the mix. Look into my eyes. A lot of cool delay on that one. I actually have a Formant plugin on her voice here. Not doing very much, just kind of shaving off a bit of the high end. Here is that chopper plugin.
Follow me, follow me, follow me.
Just a really cool effect. That is a lot. For that, I just used a vocal sample from a Vengeance pack that I have. I'll show you what it sounds like without anything done to it. So I did quite a bit of doctoring to make it sound like this. And that was a compressor, a high pass, a sine filter, and then on the master channel I have, starting off, Ozone's vintage compressor. And I feel like it just kind of squishes the song a little bit, makes everything the same level. An EQ doing stuff. I was kind of pre-mastering, I guess you could say, before it hits this maximizer, which just makes it loud. So that's just about everything in the song. Let me know if you thought that was cool or if you thought that was miserable. I have a lot of other music I could do a run through of. This just seemed like a fun first time mix rundown thing. You can find me on Blue Sky. My handle there is Evan Jordan Music. I have a music project called The Seattle Forecast that I released this song under on my Bandcamp and also Spotify soon. And you can find me on Bandcamp. Just look up The Seattle Forecast on Bandcamp. I can throw a link in the description of this video. I gotta end this, so you guys have a good day. I'll catch you later.